Dun, 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 dun. Three Hacks in a Movie podcast. Welcome. This is your co-host Bentley speaking,
This is Emilio.
And I'm RJ.
and this is the movie where blah 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 blah. Three hacks, movies, talk about movies, blah blah blah.
So, whatever slogan goes here. I'm still working on the slogan, guys. But, all right, so today's pick was my pick, and it's a movie I've been waiting to show these guys for a while, and that is Godzilla Minus One. I've actually been waiting until I just got my physical copy, which I think I ordered, I think like in April or May or something. So I've been waiting for this movie for a while, honestly. I saw it once in theaters, and I was just absolutely blown away. And I was like, yeah, I'm buying this as soon as it comes out. Like, I'm not even gonna wait till it's on sale or anything. Like, I just need to own this movie, to be honest. And you know what? I'm glad I did. I'm glad I didn't wait. But yeah, so today's pick, Godzilla Minus One.
This is your first? There's I feel like a million Godzilla movies. Is this your first one that you've seen?
No, I mean the first one I watched was that Matthew Broderick one from like 1998 or whatever, and then I watched Godzilla 2014 with Aaron Taylor Johnson, which was actually really good. And
Bryan Cranston, right?
Yeah, I think it's super underrated, honestly. And then I didn't really want to watch the other Godzilla movies, but I ended up watching one on a plane, which was Godzilla versus Kong or King of the Monsters, one of the two. I don't remember.
Black and white kind of deal.
No, it was an American action movie.
It's one of the newer ones.
Oh, that's
right?
a newer one.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay, so you're like a newer Godzilla head.
Yeah, I'm not.
suppose.
I didn't watch any of the original Godzillas from the 50s or the 40s whenever the first one came out.
Yeah, what'd you know about like Godzilla versus Mothra? Huh?
Yeah, I knew the characters, and then that's about it. I know Blackzilla from Dave Chappelle from the
Blackzilla.
Blackzilla.
Yeah, I love that. I love that sketch. It was hilarious.
So just like a bit like just a black Godzilla. Is that the
He's
big
literally
joke?
it's literally just Dave Chappelle the size of Godzilla.
Oh hell
And
yeah!
he's Blackzilla.
Okay.
Yeah, and he beats up Godzilla at one point.
Oh, I do remember that.
Yeah,
I do remember
he
that.
has sex with a volcano.
I was just about to say, I remember him having sex with the volcano.
Yeah.
I thought you were just talking about like a rapper, Blackzilla, or like
It does
maybe
sound
like a porn
there
star or
there
something.
There probably is a rapper called Blackzilla or something, but I don't know, honestly.
How does this one rank, do you think, compared to the other ones you've seen? Because this is the first one I've seen. I think RJ said that he's never
Yeah.
seen one before.
You never watched the 98 Broderick one?
I owned it on VHS as a kid, but I never watched it.
Really?
Yeah, same.
I also had it on VHS as
No,
a
like
kid.
I watched it when I was like 2 or 3 or something, so I have no memory of it.
Okay.
But so
I
I
watched-
basically I haven't seen
I
it.
watched it quite a bit as a kid because one, I had it on VHS, and then I remember for some reason as a kid, or like in the mid 2000s, they played it on FX a lot. For some reason, that sounds very familiar to me, and I feel like they just play that movie all the time on there. So I feel like I watched it on there. It's funny with Godzilla because that Godzilla is just revered as such a terrible movie for
Right.
so many different reasons. But recently, actually on TikTok, I've been seeing kind of a resurgence for like the love of the movie. They're like, you know what? It's not that bad. Like, yeah, I can get like really cheesy or whatever, but they're like, it's actually a pretty good action movie if like you think about it. So I kind of want to give it another try, honestly. So I think that could be a really fun one to watch again.
I don't know what makes it bad. All I know is Matthew Broderick and then
Well, there you go.
eggs, and that's it.
Well, the Godzilla eggs pissed off a lot of
Yeah.
people. There was also a scene like people thought like this is basically a Benny Hill movie because there's a point where they're running from the newly hatched little Godzillas, and they like someone breaks like a gumball machine or whatever, and then they like slip on the gumballs or whatever. So,
Arms flailing.
There's actually a Robot Chicken sketch that makes fun of it. That's pretty good.
I remember that one.
It's pretty great.
They do not like the movie.
There's like a few different reasons why like a lot of people hated it. I honestly can't remember. I remember just like enjoying it as a kid, but I'm also, I mean, it was 3 when it came out, so I was probably 5 when I really watched it and was able to like comprehend it. And I just thought it was a good monster movie or whatever, like kaiju movie. But I don't know. Maybe it doesn't hold up. Maybe if I watch it now, I'd be like, wow, that really was a fucking stupid movie. But
I tried watching one of the really old ones. I think I tried watching the first one because I was like, you
really?
start with the first movie and then you go, and then I thought it was kind of boring, honestly. So maybe that movie is a good starting point. The Matthew Broderick one.
I don't think it's I mean, Godzilla was never like really like a technical masterpiece. Obviously, it was just more about, I guess, like the symbolism, right? Because Godzilla is supposed to be like a physical manifestation of the United States, I guess.
The nuclear bomb.
Yeah, the nuclear bomb, essentially. Yeah, because I remember Godzilla is a creation of the U.S. because it was like from nuclear testing in the ocean or whatever. Like that's where Godzilla comes from.
Is that the idea? The Bikini Atoll, right?
Yeah. If I remember correctly, that is the origin of the original Godzilla. Or I know that's definitely the one from like the '98 Godzilla, because you see like this old like World War II like film footage, and you just see like nuclear test site, whatever, and it's like test number 1, number 3, and it's like multiple testings in this area, and then that's where Godzilla comes from. But in the actual original Japanese, I want to say it's also the again, because it's supposed to be a symbolism for America and the bomb, so I think that is the origin story.
Right.
It seems like they kind of ruined it with like the newer Godzillas, because that's when they started like, oh, there's like a rift at the bottom of the ocean or whatever, and that's where like all these like creatures come from or some shit like that.
So Pacific Rim isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's kind of like Pacific Rim, yeah. But I don't know. I only watched that Godzilla comic movie once, and I was on a plane and there was nothing else to watch, so I just watched that.
So Godzilla came from that. Did King Kong come from the
No, King Kong did not come from
the bottom of the ocean?
No, he still comes from some like prehistoric island that no one's touched apparently.
And a bunch of people worship him or something.
Yeah, there's like whatever tribesmen and stuff, but yeah.
So okay, I have before we get into the synopsis of the movie, I really have to ask a question. Why is this movie called Godzilla Minus One?
Oh, okay. I actually do know.
Because I couldn't quite figure it. I
actually do know the answer to this, but that's only because I googled it like right after I watched it in theaters. So apparently, after World War II, Godzilla, Japan was known as being like level 0 essentially, because America just completely decimated it in the war.
Okay,
so they were saying that. Because Japan was basically like restarting as a country after
rebuild.
World War II. Yeah, rebuild, right? So they were just like they were at 0, and then like in this, you introduce fucking Godzilla into this decimated land. They're actually below 0.
Right, it's minus. A step back, I guess.
Yeah, they're even further down than what they thought was possible. So that's why they're -1.
I feel like maybe I just missaw it, but I feel like at the end when it said Godzilla -1, the -1 looked like ice or something. But maybe like I just didn't look at it right. But
I just remember I was just focusing on that it said like 1.0.
1.0.
I'm guessing that's how Japan does 1 instead of just like how we would just do the number 1. They do like 1.0, 2.0, or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's why it's called -1, which I thought that was like cool, because and then I also learned a little like whatever fun fact tidbit about how they referred to Japan after World War II. But yeah, that's why it's called the -1. Yeah, because Godzilla would have just taken him a whole new level of fucking. Godzilla probably would have sent him back to the fucking Stone Age.
Right, yeah. I honestly just thought it was like a cheeky little way of saying like a prequel kind of thing, because it is like one of the earliest.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah,
because all the Godzilla movies, I assume, because I haven't seen them, that they take place in like the current day for whenever the movie came out. Like, you know,
this movie starts when the nuclear bomb is exploded.
Like,
so that's kind of his origin.
Like, you know, the start of Godzilla.
Yeah. I get it. Yeah. Okay. Wow. I didn't even think about that, but that kind of would be a cool way to say.
Yeah. I was looking at it very simplistically. I wasn't thinking like, damn.
That makes sense.
That's actually really good.
Works in 2 different ways.
I didn't think about that. That's a good one, honestly. But that's why it's called -1. All right. So synopsis of the movie, because y'all know me at this point. I like to go off into a tangent.
All that really matters is that a bunch of monsters fight and buildings blow up.
Well, it's one monster.
Yeah,
you're already wrong, Billy.
Humanity is a monster, man.
There you go.
Yeah.
The nuclear bomb is a monster, man.
America's a monster you don't see.
Right, because they're not in the movie. Because they're too worried about the Soviets, which is the last monster.
Yeah. And you know what? Is Godzilla really a monster, or is he just a misunderstood creature?
Billy went to film school. He did not like the explosions.
I like the explosions, actually.
Yeah.
They're pretty neat.
So, yeah, I guess like a quick synopsis would be that a cowardly kamikaze pilot, which means a kamikaze pilot who couldn't go through with his mission, comes back home, and he's basically one of the first people to run into Godzilla. You do hear that someone else has run into him before. But so he survives this Godzilla attack. He goes back to his home to see that's completely decimated, and his parents have died as as a result of air raids in his town. And he runs into a girl with a girl who's like a thief. I think she stole something, and she like handed off her baby essentially to her. And then he essentially takes them in, not like because he wanted to, but like he says, it just kind of happened. So he's trying to pull his life back together. He gets a job with the government, clearing minefields with like other ex-military men and like one new kid, where they clear minefields, and then Japan starts more hearing about Godzilla, and then turns out that I don't know how to say it, but not that the government set him up, but basically told him like, hey, we need you to wait in this area. And then they realize that, because they're going to be used as a stalling tactic for Godzilla. And I guess like towards more like the middle of the movie, Japan just realizes that there's nothing that they could do to Godzilla. So it's actually the citizens of Japan that come together to devise a plan to take on Godzilla. So it's like a really cool, almost like a David versus Goliath story. If it was, obviously David just wasn't one person, but it's fucking just regular people having to take on, I don't know, the world's greatest threat that's ever been seen, I guess. That's kind of how I like that in my mind. It's just a really cool David versus Goliath story.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
It kind of reminded me of Jaws at some points. I think I mentioned it once.
Dude, same. Honestly, same. There was a few moments where I was just like, oh, this is so Jaws. But honestly, I loved it. I really love the homage to Jaws.
Those are like the best scenes when they're out in the ocean and stuff.
When
they're like waiting for the monster to appear.
Yeah, when they're just in actually when they're in the little wooden boat and they're trying to drive away or whatever from Godzilla, and you can just see his head and his spikes, and he's just like right behind them. That was like the Jaws moment for me. If Jaws was like,
and they go back into town,
ridiculously huge,
trying to like formulate a plan. I got this plan to take care of the monster. We all got to go together. I don't know.
Yeah,
pretty Jawsy.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was just the citizens of the town, right? Like there was a cop or whatever, but then like
the town government wasn't actually helping.
Yeah, exactly. Like the government literally just gave up. They're just like, we have no plan to actually take on Godzilla. They even said we can't put our faith in the Japanese government anymore.
And the Americans
do things ourselves.
And the Americans are too busy fighting communism. Yeah. They have more important things than Godzilla.
Yeah, there was something about that. The reason why America couldn't help Japan, I guess in a military sense, was because they were afraid that it was going to increase tensions with Russia, or the Soviet Union. Because I guess at that point, we obviously weren't friends with the Soviet Union, so they were kind of just like, yeah, like I don't know. We can't really do any military actions without raising a lot of red flags. And maybe causing like an international incident. So
they were like our enemy right after World War II.
Yeah. Japan is right next to the Soviet Union.
Right there. Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
That's what I was trying to think about that geographically, but I never really thought about it. But I was like, yeah, I know it's obviously not that far away. Yeah. So it makes sense. Honestly, I thought that made a lot of sense. I like the whole thing about how like, what is it? General Douglas MacArthur says like, to the Japanese people, like, we're sorry we can't help, but with the Soviets in play and blah blah blah. And then he says whatever. He just says like raise your security defenses. Yeah. Like that's all we can really tell you to do.
GL, have fun.
But yeah, man, I really enjoyed this movie. Again, I know I kind of said that in the beginning, but when I watched it in theaters, I was kind of blown away by it. And also a really funny moment. So when I heard about Godzilla Minus One, I was like, oh, cool. This looks like a really interesting Godzilla movie. I just kind of heard things about it and didn't see anything about it. So when I went to the theater, I didn't realize that it was only in sub. Like, so I was like, oh shit, I got to read subtitles, which I don't remember the last time I ever did that in a movie theater.
Yeah.
I do that a lot normally. Thanks to Bentley and his fucking Italian movies. And then I also watch like a lot of anime. So I don't know. I'm used to it, but I didn't realize that it was a Japanese made movie until I literally got to the theater and it said subtitled only. I was like, oh shit. I was like, okay, for sure. But yeah, I just remember just being blown away by the movie, dude. Like I had like the stupidest like little kid grin on my face, like probably the last entire like 15 minutes of the movie. I just had like the biggest smile on my face, and I remember from beginning to end, I was thoroughly intrigued just into the movie. I didn't really think there was any boring parts for me. I don't know, you guys might have like a differing opinion, but I was just laser focused on the like autistic level focus on this movie. The entire 2 hours, bro. I couldn't get over like every scene, man. I just loved it. And
it'd be hard to talk about character names in this movie, to be honest, because it's all Japanese names. Yeah. So forgive me if I like say, "Oh, the main character."
Yeah.
When I talk about it, because
I remember the daughter's Akiko, because that's a character on American Dad, and that's Toshi's sister.
Yeah, that's right, dude. I swear the reason why so the scene where our main character, whose name is like Shikaku, something like that. Shiki, whatever. It's like Shikaksu, Shikishima. Sorry, yeah, like Shikishima, or it's probably Shikishima. When he first goes to his new job, clearing mines or whatever, and the captain introduces the rest of the crew. I swear they did that for Western audiences because they're like, yeah, there's no way they're gonna remember all these Japanese names. So he's captain, he's kid, and he's Doc. And then they never. I don't think they ever gave Shikishima a nickname. But we also hear his name more than anybody else besides Akiko. So I remember I didn't think about that the first time, but when I rewatched it now, I was like, oh, I swear they did that just for Western audiences, so people can refer to the characters easier.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I could see that, honestly. Because they also knew this was going to be a big international movie. Like, they didn't think this was going to be, like, a Japan-only movie. They were really hoping it was going to be, like, a worldwide box office success, which it was.
Japan's main export is Nintendo and Godzilla. We all know this.
Man, you're forgetting Hello Kitty.
Hello Kitty, that's
Pokemon.
true.
Pokemon, God, dude. I feel like you're actually...
Mango, however you pronounce it.
Yeah, I feel like you're missing out on a lot there.
Something I enjoy about this movie a lot is the way that they made it look like the 40s or whatever, just to set like the period piece element of it. Yeah. You know,
yeah, it literally cool. Starts off at the end of the war, right?
Because I think post-imperial Japan, I suppose.
Yeah, because it says like December 1945, and I think it literally says like final days of the war. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, and then
so they're like not like dressed, but wearing like robes, traditional robes. They're kind of like they're wearing kind of Western clothes at that point a little bit.
Like kimonos and stuff. Or
no, like in the beginning of the movie, like they're dressed like 40s like Americans almost a little bit.
I think that's okay. I mean, I honestly don't know what the style of Japan was at that point, but like the bomber jacket, remember that you pointed out? I kind of did think like, oh, I would think that's such a Western thing, right? Yeah.
I wonder when Japan started doing the bomber jacket, honestly.
I don't know, but those are badass, dude.
I had bomber robes before, kimonos before.
Bro, that was a time when you had to earn a bomber jacket. You couldn't just buy one.
No, you had to bomb 100 people to get one.
Yeah, you have to give up your life to the military. You couldn't just order one on Amazon or whatever.
I have to go to Buffalo Exchange and get
Buffalo
one.
Exchange. But yeah, so...
But yeah, the period piece part was pretty... I like that.
It really did look like World War II Japan. Like I don't know.
It was like post-war, so in the beginning, everything is all like collapsed because they just got like firebombed, I guess.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Well, like his hometown, they said like went through air raids. Is what they said, and that's why it looks like it's kind of like, I think decimated is like the right word to...
Dilapidated, all right?
Dilapidated. Yeah. That's Bentley's favorite word.
Yeah, take a drink.
I gotta say it once every podcast.
Waiting to get that one in. Yeah, so his hometown was completely decimated by air raids. But you do see that. I mean, not everything got decimated because when the girl
Noriko,
she got a job in like what they said the city, like I think Ginza was the name or something like that. It looked completely fine. Like I mean, the trains were working. Everyone else was like just hustling and bustling, moving around and everything. Yeah.
They said at some point in the movie later on that Ginza didn't get hit with the air raids. But then it was like I think someone said the line like it's ironic that like Ginza didn't get hit by the air raids, but then it got destroyed by Godzilla.
Yeah. Spoiler alert, guys! Fucking Godzilla shows up to Ginza. I think he was looking for Noriko. Like there was something. I was like, damn, Godzilla! Like out of every town in Japan, you go after the one where fucking Shikishima's girlfriend shows up at.
Right, like, and then he bites down on the train, and it's one car off of where she is.
Oh yeah, bro. I'm telling you,
she has to do like a pull up in the fucking rail to get up.
She had that upper body strength, bro. But honestly, I mean, I guess with all that adrenaline rushing through you, you're gonna hold on for dear life.
So That scene actually had my favorite scene in the whole movie.
Really?
Is where they're the news people are on top of the building.
That was pretty great.
And Godzilla's
Oh
coming
my
up,
God,
and this
yes,
guy just
dude.
announcing it. And he's like, Godzilla, I can see his head. He's getting bigger. He's getting bigger. And then
Yeah.
you can see the building fall from their perspective because Godzilla swipes it, and then you can see the floor getting closer. I thought that was a really cool shot.
was a cool shot, yeah.
No, honestly, I did love that scene, and I remember just thinking bro, these are real news reporters, dude. Where they knew they really could have died right then and there, but they're like, we don't care because we're gonna have the first footage of Godzilla. We're gonna tell the world that Godzilla's real or whatever. And dude, I thought damn, dude, these guys got balls, bro. They're really they're in there, man, and they'll do anything for a good story.
Kamikaze journalist.
Dude, that's
Another
kind
journalist.
of what I was thinking, right? Yeah. But they're their purpose isn't to die, but they're we will die
Right,
if we
yeah.
need to. Yeah.
Die an honorable death in the name of the news.
Yeah, but that shot was really cool. I remember when I first saw it in theaters, I just kept thinking damn, dude, these fucking journalists, man, they're real, bro. They're real journalists, man. They're willing to die to tell a story and to make sure everyone knows or everyone sees what happened to Ginza. But yeah, man, that whole attack on Ginza, I thought was so cool, man. I mean, it was pretty simple for the most part. He's walking, stumbling around.
He's kind of waddling a little bit. He does have a bit of a waddle in this movie.
Obviously, he moves super slow on land, and that's always been a thing with real Godzilla, honestly.
I'll say Godzilla's kind of thick in this movie. He's kind of a big
he had
chungus
the
Godzilla.
Thighs, bro. He had the thighs, man.
He can barely move. He moved like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man a little bit.
I thought he looked so silly, honestly.
You think so?
Yeah, especially with the face.
Okay.
The face looked so silly to me, almost a little humanish in a way,
Yeah.
or I don't know.
It
Interesting.
was similar to
I didn't
the
think about
original
that.
Japanese look,
Yeah.
probably.
It did, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what they were going for too. Is they wanted to kind of stay true to the character of what Godzilla looks like. They're especially after the 1998 Godzilla, where everyone's just oh, that's the American Godzilla, and he looks so different from any other Godzilla iteration. The 2014 one brought it back a bit, but like I said, there was when that movie came out and it hit Japan, there was this whole thing about Japanese people asking why Americans made Godzilla so fat in the 2014 one, and I just thought that was so
McDonald's,
funny.
obviously.
But then I thought, and then watching this one, I was just bro, do you see the thighs on this fucking guy? He's more thighs than anything else, honestly. Which I guess makes sense for a fucking beast that size. Again, you need a big, you need a strong center of gravity, a big, strong base.
He doesn't even eat that much. I don't even know what his prerogative is because he just goes into town and just wrecks shit and just causes total chaos, I guess.
Yeah.
He eats a couple people, but I think he's just doing that just for the chaos.
And even
He's
most
not
of
even
those people
hungry.
he literally just throws away.
Yeah, he throws them. That's right. Throws them into the ocean, basically.
and then just flings them. Yeah. So yeah, as of now, we really have no idea what Godzilla was doing. He just kind of
what's the lore in Godzilla? Why does he do what he does?
Shit. Yeah.
I feel like that's the symbolism actually for the nuclear bomb because I know originally Godzilla was a metaphor for the nuclear bomb, and I feel because it's just he's total chaos.
Yeah.
And he just goes in and just wrecks shit, and there's no right or rhyme or reason to it. It's just pure destruction.
I think it's supposed to be more about that he is supposed to be the embodiment in America in a sense that America had this obviously vendetta against Japan, and in this world, that's kind of what it is supposed to be, where Godzilla has a vendetta against Japan, but Godzilla doesn't have a real reason to have a vendetta. He's just kind of destroying stuff. But obviously in World War II, we kind of did it, or we did have a reason to fucking go after Japan. Yeah. But I guess obviously Japan kind of wanted to play it up where
they deserve Godzilla, dude.
Godzilla / America is this ultimate monster that can't be stopped and just kind of has. It's just a monster, it's just evil incarnated essentially. But then later we see Godzilla changes because Godzilla kind of fights on the side of Japan in multiple movies,
right?
When he's got to fight Mothra and whatever. But then I think they create Mecha Godzilla to fight Godzilla, so it's kind of all over. I think it kind of loses base at one point.
I was low-key kind of hoping we would see a Mothra or a Mecha Godzilla for even just 5 minutes or something, just a quick 5-minute battle with that. But you just really get Godzilla this movie. It's your original OG.
Yeah,
like,
this is supposed to be like
Godzilla,
like essentially the origin story of Godzilla, like his first like attack on Japan and everything. So it makes sense.
It's the start of the Godzilla verse. You're gonna get the Mothra movie soon, and then King Kong eventually, and then
they just do that. The King Kong one.
Yeah, they probably want to do they'll do Mothra, and then there's like I said, Godzilla, and then there's Shin something. The one is like a 5-headed dragon.
Gajira, isn't there one called Gajira?
There's one that's like a 5. Look up Godzilla enemies or something like that. But
the 500 winged thing that's like a Hydra kind of.
That's the one I'm talking about. The one that has like 5 like dragon heads or whatever, something along those lines. Godzilla reads it. But yeah, so okay.
I kind of wish that there was more practical effects in this movie, because I feel
Space Godzilla.
Space Godzilla, is that one of the villains?
Oh my god, the son of Godzilla.
That one I didn't know about. Yeah.
Wow.
Is that a movie?
Yeah, these are. I just searched Godzilla.
Ghidorah, something like that is the one I just saw out there.
Godzilla movies.
I would say like Godzilla enemies
franchise.
I don't know. There's definitely like a list somewhere.
Gigan.
I don't know.
Gigan.
It would be in Japan. It'd be Gigan. Or Gigan.
Hidora. Megalon. Mecha Godzilla.
Yeah, and then there was like King Ghidorah. Mothra, Mecha, Destoroyah. Destoroyah.
What is this? Mega Gyros?
I don't know. But yeah, so I don't know, man. I what I really loved about this movie was just that for a Godzilla movie, it's so much about like the human element of it, because it's just people dealing with Godzilla's bullshit essentially. Like they're just trying to live their life. They're trying to rebuild Japan. And then just like anything else, like you can't enjoy anything for too much because something else is going to come in and just kind of like ruin your day essentially. But I love that this is really just even though like obviously it's called Godzilla Minus One and you would think it's mostly about Godzilla, it's about the people of Japan. Like it's just such a human story about people trying to come together to defeat basically something that they would view as impossible. Like there's no way anyone ever thought that there was like a way to actually defeat Godzilla. Like they tried with fucking like Navy ships and fucking bombs and whatever, blah blah blah, and they were just like, and I mean it got to the point where even Japan gave up. Like the government of Japan gave up. They're like, yeah, I don't think there's anything we can do about it. We can just, I don't know, hope that Godzilla finds someone else to go mess with or something. Just kind of leave us alone. But that's kind of a big ask, obviously.
I do love that Godzilla just has like a weird ass gripe against Japan. Like he doesn't go to Korea, he doesn't go like anywhere else. He just hates Japan for some reason. Like
Japan and then U.S. Ships apparently.
Yeah, U.S. ships, but they're on Japan seas.
There you go.
So he cares about maritime law.
I think it makes sense that because Godzilla was like basically born like right outside of Japan, so that makes sense. But I do think that let's say Godzilla somehow completely does destroy Japan successfully, it probably would just move on to Korea next, right? Like or whatever the next island archipelago landmass is. I don't know. I think that makes sense. Also, I thought kind of like the way that Godzilla operated made a lot of sense because he is more like of a sea creature, so in the ocean he's extremely like fast and like agile, but on land he's just so slow, right? We described him as doing more of a waddle than a walk than anything, like the way he moves. And then how he's like distracted by moving objects, which is very much like an animal thing, right? Especially like sea creatures, just like if you're standing still, he doesn't really care. But if he sees like a ship, a Navy ship, or a plane in the sky, or the train, right? It makes sense why he attacked the train because that's like the biggest moving object in the city.
His reptilian brain just
it's just his like simple like animal brain going like, oh, this is moving, I'm gonna go towards that thing because that's probably like food or whatever. So I don't know. I think the way like he operated as an animal just made a lot of sense, and I actually like that they kind of not like focused on that, but they made it clear that like, oh, okay, like his actions make sense essentially. Sometimes it's all like, oh, like damn, dude, like the fact that he like when he automatically escalated to the atomic breath or whatever, I was like,
I
damn,
was
an
like, where the fuck
escalation.
that come
yeah,
out?
dude. He's like, bro, he didn't even try to attack the fucking thing first. Like, he just went, fuck it, and then, which I thought honestly super fucking sick. Like, I've always been a fan of the Godzilla atomic breath, but the way that like he powers his up, like you can see it go up the thing, and then how he takes a deep breath, and instead of it sounding like a giant fucking like heat ray or laser beam, it goes fucking almost like quiet.
Yeah, it
every
goes
single
totally
time.
silent for like a second.
And then where it blows up, it's fucking like a Hiroshima fucking level bomb, essentially. Or
that's how you do an explosion, bro. You know,
Yeah.
like the Star Wars, like there's that
where's
ship.
and there's a.
It's like it's like total silence, and you hear that. That's how you just do a good explosion, man.
Well, you did call it like Jaws in Star Wars, right? Like there was like parts of this movie you're like, oh, it's like Star Wars. Oh, it's like Jaws or whatever. Yeah.
Star Wars and Jaws.
Yeah. Star Jaws or Jaws Wars, whatever.
Jaws Wars.
But yeah, I really like the. I mean, I guess it kind of would be. I wouldn't say that's like directly taken from Star Wars, but but I could see that being like
good sound design.
Yeah, because you hear that and then like it goes quiet and then zoom, and then. But I loved. I remember I couldn't get over the sound design in this movie. Like I love like the sound of it all.
Very bombastic, for sure.
I can't hear that word without thinking like Mr. Bombastic.
Mr. Bombastic. Shaggy.
Sugar. Yeah, I can't take that word seriously because of that.
Yeah.
Because of that. But I know what you mean. Like
Bombastic.
Bombastic. Yeah, but I love the sound from everything from like the freaking like plane propeller to just like Godzilla's like roar essentially, and then one of my favorite scenes in the movie is later, basically the final showdown with Godzilla when he's in that new fighter plane or whatever, and you hear. I think it's when he lets the atomic breath go on that first like naval ship. Like I love that it just goes like dead silent for a minute. And then you just hear and the explosion. I just thought like that like scratches like scratched like a certain itch in my brain that was just so satisfying. And I just remember being so happy with the sound design in this movie, man. Like I love all this. I just love all the sounds, and then the lack of any sound during certain scenes I just thought really powerful.
Yeah, I really liked the progression of time being shown.
Okay.
Like every time it would cut to a new part, the new part of the movie, like it would cut in time in the future, and it would show. Was it the guy's name? The
Shikishima.
Shikishima.
Yeah.
It would show his house, and it was like progressively getting better. Like he was building it up over time, and it was like he was like the town and the city was slowly rebuilding and stuff. I love that. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, because I think it starts from I remember it starts in December 1945, and I think like the final battle was in 47. So I think it's just like 2 years later.
Yeah,
I want to say it was in 47, and I don't know why. I want to say like it was sometime in the summer, but I don't remember exactly what month they said. But I was glad that they obviously told us like what year it was every time it progressed, and then like not only seeing like the town rebuild, but we see like Shikishima, we see kind of his like character progress in the sense like he went from a guy who was like ashamed for being alive, essentially, like he, because he's like, I should be dead, I shouldn't be here or whatever, and then you see him like actually be happy with his like makeshift family with Akiko and Noriko, right?
Noriko, yeah.
Yeah, Noriko. So I love that you see that he's like finally happy that like, I don't know, almost like he's like obviously found a sense of purpose in taking him in, and you kind of really see that when you see that Akiko, like, she thinks she's delivering good news that she got a job, but you can see that he gets super defensive. He's just like, oh, don't I do enough for you? Like, I think you see that he's like threatened that like his sense of purpose is going away because maybe they're going to go away now because they don't need him as much anymore or whatever.
I feel like it's also kind of showing the passing of time too, in that sense, whereas like the woman is getting a job and doing her own thing now, like women's liberation is finally hitting Japan, probably now that imperialism is over. So.
Yeah, I don't think Japanese women were really working at that point, but they're like, well, we clearly need to get back to, something. So there probably is like a whole thing about that, honestly. But I remember saying like I remember thinking about his progress because I thought it was so cool that he went from someone who was just like I shouldn't even be here to like he has a job that he likes. He works with he has like a new group of friends and he has like essentially a family that I mean obviously it's not like his in the traditional sense, but it's as close as a family as he's ever gonna have now that he's like lost everyone that he's ever known. So I really like that every time we see like a little time jump, you see him basically progressively get happier that, he's still alive. And then later, I mean, when Godzilla comes back, you can see that just kind of go away because I don't know. I feel like he definitely thought maybe if I did attack Godzilla when I had the chance, none of this would be happening. Like, because when we first see Godzilla, I mean, he's a huge monster, but he's nowhere near the size that we see him 2 years later. He grows
like a baby Godzilla, kind of in the
he grows like
beginning.
Exponentially. Where like I think the first attack he's like maybe like 20 feet tall, something like that.
I feel like the first attack too was before the Bikini Atoll bombs because I feel like they showed the Bikini Atoll bombs in like 1946 or something. Yeah. So I wonder if like Godzilla was like popped up from like some like other like mysterious like maybe like actually just Hiroshima or some shit or.
I think. Like I think in the original story, that's where he's supposed to come. Well, he's
whatever the original
like,
story.
Yeah, like nuclear test sites in the ocean or whatever. But so I don't know which like the first one was. I watched Oppenheimer. I should know it, but I don't remember.
Or the first what was?
Like the first like nuclear test sites in the ocean were because there was like definitely like because I remember there was
like Bikini Atoll for sure.
There was like basically a whole thing about like how we were testing like nuclear weapons in the ocean or whatever at some point. It was just so cool, man. And then when Godzilla comes back and attacks Ginza or whatever, you can just see like this look on our main character's face that he's just like, fuck, like he's just really beating himself up that like he's like maybe if I did, maybe if I attacked when I could have stopped this entirely. And then he goes and saves or tries to save Noriko, which I thought was a really cool scene. And but dude, the fact that she saves him, like, like he does like whatever his atomic blast, and you see all this like debris coming, and you see her push him into the alley instead of him grabbing her into the alley. I was just like, bro, like, no, like, are you serious? Like, come on, you went all the way over there and you still froze and it like really mattered. And I was like, oh, this dude's gonna kill himself now. Like he let Noriko die, or not only did he let, like, at this point we thought, like, right, like, not only did he, like, let Noriko die, but she died saving him. And
that part was ridiculous,
That's, like,
dude.
a whole other level of hurt to his, like, pride and everything as a man.
That scene was ridiculous.
Yeah, from the get-go, from the time he, like, finds her, because she's... It was after she gets out of the water, after the whole train, the Godzilla attack on the train incident. Yeah. She gets out of the water, and she's just kind of, like... walking really slowly while everybody else is fucking like booking it behind besides her, and then someone pushes her down, like getting her out of the way so they can run, and then Shikishima, saves, like reaches out and like saves her, like right there. It's like, how did he find her of all the places?
Yeah,
like
there is a thing about that, right, where it's just like, yeah, he probably wouldn't have found her in that town, right? Obviously, especially like during the evacuation part.
Especially right, like when, like at the nick of time, right? Like, like Godzilla would have took like one more step, and it would have been like right where they are. Like, come on.
And then like a 3-step distance, but I know what you mean. Yeah.
And then like he does that nuclear like blue explosion thing where he turns blue and just like does like a nuclear explosion. You know what I'm talking about.
They call it a heat ray, but some people say like atomic breath in like the newer movies.
And like as soon as he does it, you see the particle effects go full motion. Like all the buildings fucking crumble into dust and sand and everything. Like it's not. They don't even like just like collapse like a demolition. They just like poof, like sand.
Yeah.
And then like this guy who's like not even a mile away. He like goes into like an alleyway and then like he survives this blast.
Godzilla's only like a mile away, but the blast is like, I don't know how far the blast is, obviously, but that's not right there. The blast is miles away, but
we can look it up on Google Maps. I'm sure we could.
I'm sure someone has done the math and the science between like how big is Godzilla's from Godzilla Minus One's like blast radius. I bet you anything someone has actually done the math on that, because someone always does. But yeah, because I don't think it's supposed to be like a fucking Hiroshima level bomb every single time. But obviously, I don't fucking know. But yeah, I mean, there was like,
he was a pretty lucky man. I'll say that.
There was elements in that scene where it's just like, oh wow, like he showed up at the right time and he found her. Like, how the fuck did he find her, right?
And everybody else died besides him in the town.
Okay, that's not what happened.
Well, in that part of the town.
No, I mean, it makes it. I mean, at
and
one
Ginza,
point,
Ginza, yeah,
Ginza.
Pretty much 20,000 people.
It's at 30,000. 30,000
like,
dead and it's at 30,000 dead and injured.
Right. Out of like how like 40 like
I don't know.
It's probably a lot of people, dude.
It is supposed to be like a really it's obviously not Tokyo, but it is supposed to be one of their next biggest kind of like industrial cities where like a lot of people like have like office jobs, but there's also like a lot of factories there. It's just like a very like a work centered city.
That's just Japan in general.
But yeah, man, I don't know, man. I remember just thinking, okay, so I love the scene when they realize that they're gonna get together, because they say like, you know, we can't trust the Japanese government anymore. They're not gonna do anything. They're not gonna protect us. And they just also told us that they just kind of gave up on this whole Godzilla situation. So now like this band of like random citizens come together to try to figure out how to destroy Godzilla. And
they're all ex-Navy.
Yeah, most of them are ex-military, which makes sense, because like at that point, if you were literally whatever, like 16 or 18 to whatever, you were in the military. Like they were recruiting anyone and everyone that they can. So basically, everyone was ex-military.
Yeah, but one of them specifically said they're all ex-Navy.
Yeah. Well, yeah, most of them are like ex-Navy, and then you see how big of a deal and how actually smart that fucking Dot guy is, because.
Well, I mean, his plan didn't work, really.
But it was a really good plan, though. Like, I mean, it makes sense, right?
He didn't do anything, so it was a bad plan. He didn't like do any like empirical science. He just.
I think he's the one who did the science.
He dipped Godzilla, and that's all that happened. He's like, oh, it's gonna be pressurized and it's gonna be depressurized. I did the science, guys. I did the numbers, and then nothing happens.
So you'll guarantee that it's gonna kill him. Well, no, I don't know.
Yeah, that's right. He was honest about it.
Yeah, and I think that was like a big point, right? Because like there was always someone who's just like, but is it gonna kill him? And he's just like, look, I can't guarantee you that this is gonna kill him, because who the fuck knows how to destroy a fucking 20-ton monster or whatever that's like however many feet tall. I don't even think they ever said how his height was, but I remember at one point he does say he weighs 20 tons or 20,000 tons or something.
Right,
like
20,000 tons.
Yeah. So, I mean, I thought like this dude was a fucking genius, man, honestly. And I remember like when I was first hearing his plan, I was just like, okay, yeah, how do you defeat a monster? Because like you tried bombs, that didn't work. You fucking use like naval destroyers, like artillery, and as much as that did damage, it fucking regenerates, so that's not really an option either. And then it's like, okay, yeah, I just thought the whole thing like sinking him to the bottom of the ocean or whatever, I don't know, man. I just thought that made a lot of sense, because now you're using like the natural elements to your advantage, because they're like, yeah, we just need to sink him. And one guy even brought it up. He's just like, he's a sea creature. How do you know he's not going to survive it? And it's like, there's literally no sea creature ever to exist that could take on that change in pressurization or whatever. So I just thought his fucking plan was genius, honestly. And then like they even had a fucking plan B where they're just like, okay, if that doesn't work, we're gonna change the pressurization one more time by fucking lifting him into the surface or whatever. So the first one doesn't get him. Hopefully the second one will. So I don't know. I thought the plan was genius, even though it like didn't work. It worked for like a second, unfortunately, but obviously not enough to actually kill him.
The theory was there.
Yeah. So I thought it was really smart. I thought the fucking plan was genius, and it was obviously their best shot. But like you said, he's like, there's no guarantee. I mean, this is such an unprecedented matter. Who the fuck knows? But I thought it was great. I thought honestly it was such a genius move. And then Shikishima, I also like this plan because he's just like, look, his weakness is inside. We've seen it before. He like ate a landmine or whatever, and we fucking blew it up. So his whole like, I love the simplicity of his plan where he's just like, let's just feed him a bomb. Like, you know, like I'm gonna fucking fly a bomb into his mouth. And I was like, You know what? That's also thinking with your head.
Yeah,
Like,
there you go.
It's definitely not as elegant as the fucking Doc's plan by any means, but it makes sense from the evidence that they have so far what's affected Godzilla. So I thought both plans were great, and a mixture of the both really helped both situations. Because I mean, you see it blow up, and then you see like when he fucking lands a bomb in his mouth, and his fucking head is just blown off. Like Kurt Cobain.
I was gonna, yeah.
You see, like
too soon, dude.
Yeah, you see his like body crumble, and I think that had to do a lot with the whole pressurization of or the whatever the two different pressurizations that Godzilla went through. So I think it kind of technically needed both plans for it to work. But yeah, I thought the plan was genius, honestly. For what they had to work with, I thought it was incredibly ingenious, and the ingenuity is insane. I think they hired a balloon company. They're just like, bro, a balloon company almost took Godzilla down. That's pretty fucking badass if you tell me.
I think the doc's playing us. I don't think he's really a doctor. I think he's just like Dr. Phil, man. He's not a real doctor. He's
like Dr. Disrespect.
yeah. Where's his credentials? Like,
I don't know. Maybe he's just a math nerd. I don't know, but he's like they said, like, oh, he's like a real bigwig. Who knew or whatever. But yeah, and then I love the.
You see the bubbles, man? He's a bigwig.
I love when the kid comes at the end because they're trying to raise Godzilla, but he gets like stuck or whatever, or he's just not rising up.
He chewed through the life preserver things.
Yeah.
So the air
that comes up. And then you see kids show up with like a fleet of like fishermen boat or whatever, like fisher boats or whatever, and other boats. Like it's just other citizens with their boats, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna fucking save the day," essentially. And I'm like, "Fuck yeah, dude!" He's just like, even his own friends are like, "No, don't come anywhere near this tomorrow or whatever." And he's like, "Nah, you're gonna need me watch." And he proved them. They did help him out. Yeah, so I don't know, man. I don't really know what to say about this movie that I just like thoroughly enjoyed all of it. Like I get it, like sometimes the Godzilla's design was a little like funny to me, but I also just wonder like, is that just because I'm so used to like an American like interpretation of monsters and like kaijuts or whatever? And then I also watch like anime and stuff, but
I just thought he could have looked a little bit more menacing. Like obviously he was fucking huge,
right?
And he fucking shot atomic bombs out,
right, whatever, yeah,
all that other shit. But it's like when it did like the close-ups on his face, I just wanted to laugh out loud so hard.
I don't know. Yeah, I see what you're saying, but yeah, I think they did still kind of want to stay true to what Godzilla used to look like back in the day, in the 40s and the 50s. Without like changing his design too much, but it's kind of funny seeing like how big his thighs are compared to the rest of his body.
Yeah,
you can almost hear him squeaking together as he walks in this movie.
He's gonna throw some
like a thick Latina, like the average Nissan Altima driver.
Yeah. Oh my god. I was thinking like because there's like thigh gaps and then there's just thick thighs. So he's like,
right.
I love like I can't remember who said it. Just like he's like, God, like my like my thighs rub together so fast they can start a fire. I think it's Fat Bastard actually from Austin Powers who says a line like that. But yeah, I mean I get it. But sometimes I do think like I feel like in Japan they were probably like, oh, this really does look super menacingly, but like in the Western world they were like we kind of had this idea where like
you call that a monster?
Yeah, we're just like his face is not that scary. I mean, but the rest of him is absolutely.
Ever seen Dracula before, nerd? It's a
Dracula.
That's our monsters.
I would be more like a xenomorph or something, dude.
That's like Europe's monster, man.
Dracula,
yeah, it's European.
Oh
bro.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, that is more European.
King Kong's ours.
That's true.
King Empire State Building.
Actually, Skull Island owns King Kong.
Okay, nerd.
And where is Skull Island, Bentley?
It's obviously off the coast of the Florida Keys, man.
I feel like this movie, I would give this movie way more points if it did more practical effects, because I feel like that's kind of the magic of the old like Godzilla movies is you have a guy in a costume like walking through like miniatures of the city
yeah.
and stomping on it. At least a set, like maybe there was that, but Play an homage for a moment, just for like the old fans, you know.
Don't you think people would have been like,
you can do miniatures.
That's clearly a man in a costume, and they just immediately laughed at the movie.
Miniatures you can get away with miniatures.
Miniatures are cool, and like blowing them up are cool, but you can't get a guy in a costume nowadays, bro. Like, because like imagine like there's like even a 1 second like where like someone just spliced in a scene. Or a 1 second scene of a guy in a costume destroying a city, people would be like, "What the fuck was that?" like rewind that shit, and then we'd be fucking laughing our asses off. That like that's a man in a costume right there. Like
good.
No one would take that seriously.
I think it would have improved the
movie, and that's why Americans shouldn't be in charge of Godzilla movies, apparently. So way to prove them right, guys.
See, that's your opinion as an American.
I don't say
this movie has a lot of special effects in it.
I've seen some of these Western Godzilla movies, and besides the 2014 one, they basically just turned them into Michael Bay presents Godzilla, essentially. And it's just, I mean, you take it for what it is. It's a stupid action movie, but
there's two different movies going on here. You have the like main character human story, and then you have the story of just blowing up Godzilla, you know. And I definitely prefer the latter of just blowing up Godzilla.
Yeah.
That's the more enjoyable part of the movie, I would say, personally.
I really love I absolutely love the human element of the story of like this man trying to find like basically a reason to live again, essentially. And then he is almost supposed to be like a representation of like Japan too, where they're trying to come back from nothing essentially, and trying to be like, I don't know, trying to find reason again, try to be a good person. And
he gave up on his country for not trying hard enough, for not literally like dying for his country as a kamikaze. Yeah.
Which is wild, but they even pointed that out in the movie because they're just like the Japanese government has been taking life for granted for like too long now. Because everyone at every point thought like, bro, like the government literally told them like, you're gonna get in this plane, you're gonna shoot as much as you can, but as soon as there's no coming back. Like you do not kamikaze pilots do not come back.
Right.
You are going to fucking smash your plane into the land, into a destroyer, but what the fuck? Another plane doesn't fucking matter. Like that was very much a real order from them back in the day. Before 9/11, there was that essentially, and then they basically invented that shit. I don't know. I mean, there might have been suicide bombers before fucking kamikaze pilots in World War II, but I've never heard of them, so who knows?
The planes were relatively new back then, so. And plus, I bet there were more regular pilots than kamikaze pilots, but I would bet you Japan loved to like just put the fear of the kamikaze pilot in the Americans, because then the Americans are like, dude, these Japanese are fucking psycho. They'll do anything to kill us. So it just makes him more of a scary like enemy, you know?
That weirdly did give him a big like psychological advantage, obviously, but also just an advantage in general, because once you really know that pilot is going to kill himself in the name of his country, where our soldiers like they're gonna go on things that could be that would be considered suicide missions, because like the chance of surviving it is like slim to none. But their objective was literally to die during the mission, so it's like a whole other level playing field like that we couldn't just comprehend, and obviously we couldn't tell our fucking people to do that because that's an insane ass. But I mean, who is it, Emperor Hirohito or whatever? Like, I mean, that dude obviously had some pretty wild ideas to what to do with his fucking soldiers and his people and everything.
Fun fact, Japan still has an emperor technically, besides just a prime minister. They have
it's like the queen in England.
Basically, exactly.
Yeah. It's more for like
posterity.
Just to keep like the royal tradition alive, and then also it's always for like international matters. It's always like a good sign when you send like real like Japanese royalty to them and stuff like that. It's cool, like whatever, but
this movie has a lot of commentary, I feel like, about post-war Japan and stuff.
Because that's the whole movie,
right?
Dude. Yeah, like if you look up the movie, like there was like one section that said something about themes and analysis, and it's just nothing. It literally says like anti-war sentiments, post-war, whatever, blah blah blah. And yes, the whole movie is like an anti-war movie. It's supposed to show you like the horrors of war, and then I guess also the horrors of like the United States. But we just weren't someone to be fucking wrecked with. And then I love it because I remember when this not this. When Oppenheimer came out, they waited like 6 months to show it in Japan.
Right.
They're just like, how is this going to be received in Japan? Obviously, and there's a lot of videos coming out of people like interviewing. There was like a lot of people like interviewing people leaving the theater, asking how they felt about the movie. But it was mostly younger people, so they're just like, I mean, we have like no connection to the dropping of the bombs or whatever. And then I think I even saw some people were just saying like, as terrible as it was, like we kind of understood why they did it. And I mean, I was like, damn, that's pretty wild, but I guess I get it. Yeah, so they have this, and then we have Oppenheimer. Apparently, that's kind of how I look at it.
Japan has Godzilla and we have Oppenheimer.
Yeah. Both became God of Death, dude, or whatever that famous line is.
I am become death.
Yeah,
I am become Godzilla.
Death. Go Godzilla. Oh yeah, and that song was not played at all during the movie, which is apparently a huge
upset.
Yeah, huge miss, honestly.
Huge miss.
Yeah, they
could have very
climax. Would have done a lot better in America if it had that on the soundtrack.
Yeah. At the very like sentimental ending where they finally meet at the end again. Our main character and his love interest.
Yeah,
like they should have played Godzilla. That would have been very fitting, actually.
I fucking love the music in this movie, though. I will say, like, I love like obviously that they brought back the original. Dun, 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 dun. I like the kind of like Jaws-y sounding music when they were getting chased, and then the like I don't know the kind of like almost like rally cry of the movie when they're gonna go up against Godzilla. I just love the music in it. I thought it was really satisfying, and then yeah, so there's like a scene where you can tell that when the mechanic is talking to our hero, to our main character, you can kind of tell like, oh, he probably put the ejection seat in there or whatever, right? Which I was kind of like, like I get why they did it, because maybe they don't want people to be later like, oh, where the fuck did that come from? Like we didn't have any hint that could have been a thing. So I don't know. I think maybe it would have been better if they didn't do it, because it would have been like a nicer surprise. But I also think they kind of did it to try to distract you from the fact that Noriko was still alive. But then there was like a kind of giveaway with when the neighbor gets the telegram, essentially, because you're kind of like,
right,
what could this be, right? Like why does she have like a huge like shocked look on her face?
Yeah, I honestly didn't think she was dead from the get-go. I thought,
oh really?
Yeah.
Okay. I was definitely happy to see her alive, but I was kind of like, it's one of those moments where I'm just like, I don't know if this would have been better if she died, or I'm glad that they actually let her live. I don't know. It's still like a toss-up for me, to be honest, but I was definitely happy that she was alive, so I don't know. But if they did kill her, I would totally understand it, and it would have made it like a lot more impactful, to be fair. Yeah. All right. So that was Godzilla Minus One, guys. Any final thoughts on this movie? Ratings, if you have a rating for it?
No, I'm not a big fan of like big action movies like this. Big CGI, battles and explosions and stuff like that. But it was pretty decent. It was pretty good. Am I gonna go back and rewatch it at any time? Maybe down the line, but I don't know.
All right. Do you have a rating for it, RJ? If you don't, it's fine. I'm just asking.
I don't know, like a 6.5,
sci-fi,
maybe.
Yeah. Okay. Bentley?
I wasn't a huge fan, but I did like the action scenes. I liked I did enjoy the explosions and like the destroying of buildings.
You like the
explosions.
You like the big talk?
I thought the like main storyline with the main character just didn't like quite hook me in necessarily, because it felt kind of like his love interest was kind of like falling into his lap a little bit or whatever. It's like he gets back from war, and then like just this lady,
she literally hands him a baby.
Yeah, this stranger that he's never met before like hands him a baby, and he's like, oh, what's this? And he's like, oh, like
it's a fucking baby.
It's a baby, and like you're gonna take care of it. And he's like, okay, and then they become like husband and wife, but not.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Well, we don't see that, right? Because they even ask him like, why haven't you married her yet? And you can tell that because he has this like, he still has this belief that he doesn't deserve to be happy or whatever, that he shouldn't even be there. So that's probably why he never asked her to be anything more than, just someone to take care of, essentially. But I don't know, man. Like, I know obviously it is like an action movie by like, its definition or whatever, but I feel like so many people actually wouldn't see this really as an action movie. Like, there are action scenes in it. It's not really an action movie because it's more about, I don't know. It's more about the human element of, of Shikishima and Japan in general, about how, they're just trying to come back, be whatever, citizens of the world again. Him just be a citizen in general, be a good person. But I don't know. Like, I see this movie and I don't really think of it like as an action movie. I mean, I know it is an action movie.
Yeah, there's 100-foot monster that they're fighting the entire time.
Yeah, bunch of buildings. It's like, I don't know, man. Like we have like,
it's called Godzilla.
We had like a few, but in reality, we only had like a few scenes where we actually see like Godzilla in action. And then that's like it. Most of the story is just of like the people, right? Like they're trying to just like deal with it essentially. But I don't know. Like, I mean, that is a lot of the movie. It still says like action sci-fi, but there's so much like actual like drama and human element to it that I kind of like. I think like action is like, I'd probably put it like third in the list of like categories that this like movie belongs to. But I get it. Like, I mean, it still is an action movie by definition.
I feel like the drama stuff is shoehorned in almost, and they just knew that they wanted to give the people the action. So it's like, I don't know.
I mean, I would disagree with that, but I mean, that's how you see it. Obviously, I
really
just kind of disagree with that.
Godzilla, you're just giving people an action movie about like some sort of symbolic thing about nuclear like war in Japan and stuff.
Yeah, the whole movie's a symbolism for war or whatever.
Like
and war is action, so I mean, I guess
that's what Godzilla really, like, at the end of the day, Godzilla is about a giant lizard who rolls through fucking a city and destroys everything.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Like, I mean, that's what it is.
Yeah, that was Godzilla, and that's always been Godzilla. But I mean, I don't know, dude. I know you guys said you haven't seen any other Godzilla movies, but watch this with like any Western Godzilla movie, and you would think this is like an independent film compared to those. Like, in comparison, you wouldn't call this an action movie. But that's just like in comparison. Because if you watch Godzilla King of the Monsters or Godzilla vs. Kong, any of those are literally fucking Michael Bay explosion action movies, where this just has like action elements in it, in a very like drama, like period piece almost.
I'd still say this is an action movie.
It is an action movie. I'm just saying, like, I just wouldn't put it as like the main category of it. I'd probably put it like third or fourth. And then Godzilla 2014. That's all pretty much an action movie. Yeah, I don't know, man. Just like Western action and Japanese action are just so different from each other that I don't know if this is how just Japan does action movies in general, but it's just so different from like Western action.
Is the 2014 one, does that take place in America too? Is it like actually in America?
You see it. No, you still mostly see it in Japan, but there is a point where it does attack like Hawaii. Which isn't technically that far from Japan.
Right.
So
I think that's near the Bikini Atoll, actually.
Okay. Yeah.
Nearby.
So yeah, most of the movie's still set in Japan, but there is a point where it like reaches the States. But that state is Hawaii. So I think it also reaches California, actually. It might reach San Francisco. I don't fully remember, honestly. Yeah.
Which one's better, would you say? If you had to recommend a modern Godzilla.
Damn.
As the quintessential.
I just think it's so much. It's two very different takes on Godzilla, but they both like have their like strengths in very different ways. Where Godzilla 2014, even though it is really following like this one soldier essentially who is played by like Aaron Taylor Johnson, Godzilla is not the bad guy in that movie at all. It's crazy because like you watch it in the beginning, you're like, oh, okay, you kind of can see where this is gonna go, but then you actually watch it, and Godzilla's really not the bad guy at all. He's just like a creature who's, I don't know, not lost, but there's like elements here where you're like, oh yeah, he's clearly not the bad guy. Where in this sense, it's like, no, he is the bad guy because he's just. But like Godzilla, like in his eyes, obviously isn't doing anything wrong. He's just trying to reach something or destroy something because it's in his way or whatever. And they attacked him first. I don't fucking know. Whatever. Who knows what Godzilla's real intentions are? But
yeah, in the beginning of the movie, they do attack first, huh? Like as soon as Godzilla goes on the island, like the first thing they do is like shoot him.
Idiot starts shooting rifles at him. Yeah, exactly.
Well, I guess humans do attack first.
So it start, yeah,
but stick up his ass.
You do hear one of them say that. What's it called? Oh, it's called Godzilla. Like I heard someone in the local village call him that. So it's not even his first time landing in Japan. But again, at this point, he was so small that he could land on a fucking random village and no one in the rest of Japan hears about it. But yeah, I don't know. Godzilla Minus One is definitely more like about the human elements of it, where Godzilla 2014 is definitely just a big monster movie. But it's the way they play the action is very subtle. It's actually more subtle than this one in a lot of ways. So it's kind of crazy. I think I like Godzilla Minus One more than 2014, but it's actually a lot closer than people would think. It's a really good movie. Just I think a lot of people just kind of immediately dismissed it because they're like, oh, it was the first Western Godzilla since the 1998 one, and that was so like worldwide across the board. Everyone just shit on that movie that they were kind of like, I don't think America's ever gonna attempt to make a fucking Godzilla movie again. So I don't know. I think a lot of people immediately dismissed it, but I thought it was worth checking out, honestly. And I definitely think this one's worth checking out too. I think it's a pretty good World War II drama / sci-fi action movie. You know,
it's the only Japanese movie I could think of that it takes place in that era. So I give it points for that. Definitely post-war World War II.
Yeah, I'm sure there is other ones, but I don't know any, or let alone seen one. Yeah, I don't know. I really like this movie for so many different reasons. I'd probably give it like 8.5 maybe. Like yeah, probably like 8.4, 8.5, something along those lines. Oh, Ben, like you don't really rate it, right?
Probably give it like a 4 out of 10 or something.
Jeez, man. All right.
Honestly.
All right. So
I wasn't a big fan of the story, to be honest, but I like the action.
Okay, for sure. All right. Last question: film or movie?
Movie.
Flick.
Film.
Movie.
I'm calling it a film. All right, guys. This has been 3 Hacks in a Movie. I've been Emilio.
Ben Lee.
And I'm RJ.
All right. Have a good night, y'all.